I'm back. Sorry about that, everyone. Let me make sure that everything is gonna go smoothly this time. Um, so this is part two, continued of my live stream that I was doing a little bit ago. Ran into some issues. Um, so is it working? Okay, it looks like it's working. So I left off on what we can do about the environmental problems in our world right now. And I have a whole list right here. This I was getting towards the end of my episode, my live stream there. So this part's not going to be very long. But what can we do about it? Keep in mind, like I said previously, not all of these things can be done by everyone, and that's okay. At this point, what matters is gaining knowledge about the environmental impact of our decisions and doing what we can to reduce our environmental impact. So, one of the things that I am trying to join in my area, it's taking a little longer than I wanted to, which I don't understand, but it's called the Buy Nothing Project. And it's a great way to reuse and recycle your stuff for free. So I'm going to read you this little snippet. This came off of their website, and I have them linked in the description and in the show notes. But the Buy Nothing Project says local groups form gift economies that are complementary and parallel to local cash economies. Whether people join because they'd like to quickly get rid of things that are cluttering their lives, or simply to save money by getting things for free, they quickly discover that our groups are not just another free recycling platform. So, with the Buy Nothing Project, essentially, what I found is there are groups on Facebook, and you join the group, and then you essentially exchange things. Like if you have something you want to get rid of, you post it here and say, "Hey, I have this thing that I'm no longer using. It no longer serves me. I would like to get rid of it. Does anyone want it?" And then if somebody wants it, they say, "Hey, yes, I want it. Can I pick it up? Or do you deliver? Whatever." And then on the opposite end of that, if you are searching for something, maybe you want like a French press. A French press coffee is on my brain right now. Maybe you want a French press and you see somebody that is giving away their French press because they don't use it anymore. Then you say, "Hey, I would like that French press from you." And then you go get the French press. So it's like trading, getting rid of the things that you no longer need and giving them to someone who can find value in them. Now, if you don't have a Buy Nothing project in your area because they aren't everywhere, um, then go along the lines of yard sales and thrift shopping. Do those things first instead of buying new, because when you buy new, you are creating more waste, and you are letting those companies know you're voting with your dollar, that you don't care that, not that you don't care, that you're voting with your dollar in the sense that you are going and you are spending money to buy something new, and it doesn't matter to you necessarily if the product is used. That's really confusing. You're creating more waste when you buy new. Instead, you can get the same type of product from a thrift store for less money, and then it's something that's already out there in the environment, that's already gone through the process of packaging and shipment. Normally, I have found in my experience that things that are in thrift stores tend to stay local to the area, so no shipping has to occur, and it goes back into the same community. So that is an effective way to reduce your waste, reuse objects, and recycle things when you no longer need them anymore. Um, One of the easiest things that you can do is to be more aware and mindful of your impact on your community and the world at large. This can require some research if you don't have a lot of knowledge around this topic. However, the information is out there, and most of it is not behind a paywall. It is freely accessible to the general public, which is amazing. Now, Some of it is very scientific and very scholarly. Some of it I can't even understand because of the way it's written. But the information is out there. And you need to do your research to be as honest with yourself as possible. And I'll give you an example. So, my dad and I were recently talking, and I am a big proponent of reusable shopping bags, okay? And he made the comment that it has been proven that the reusable bags can be worse for the environment. And now in my head, I'm like, well, immediately, that doesn't make sense to me because plastic goes to the landfill, takes up to 1,000 years, or it can take up to 1,000 years to decompose. How can the plastic bag have a lower environmental impact than a reusable bag? But if you think about the entirety of the environmental impact, and I'll link to the article and the study that I found because he's not wrong. What they found is that the environmental impact for single use, if you were to just use both things one time, the environmental impact of the plastic bag was lower than the environmental impact of the reusable bag. And the material that reusable bag was made from, the better quality, I would say, so like regular cotton versus organic cotton, the better quality or the more organic the materials are, the higher the environmental impact for a single use. So what this means is, sorry, I'm talking a lot with my hands. What this means is that if you buy cheaply made, cheaply produced reusable bags, they have the potential to have a higher environmental impact than a single-use plastic bag. And this is due to the production costs, the shipping costs, manufacturing, all of that. If you were to take into account the entire process for creating each different kind of bag, just to use it one time, the plastic bag has a lower environmental impact. But they did find that based on uses over and over and over again, that the reusable bag does end up having a lower environmental impact the more you use it. However, one study that they did found that you had to use that one reusable bag, like, I don't know, up to 1,000 times for the pros to outweigh the cons. It's hard to explain, but I will link that in the description and in the show notes. And this is why I want you to be aware of your environmental impact, because it might be more beneficial to have that single-use bag and to use it over and over again, depending on what it's made from and where it comes from, versus a plastic bag. But on the flip side of that, depending on where you are and your options, the plastic bag might be more environmentally friendly, which is counterintuitive. But this is why it's important to do the research and be aware of your impact and the way that things are made. Because, you know, those reusable bags at Walmart that they sell for 99 cents, those are cheaply made. Very cheaply made. And you buy one for $1 and you use it a couple of times before it rips. Guess what? That has not met the threshold for breaking even of its environmental impact. And that's not good. So if you're going to buy reusable bags, I recommend buying them either from someone who makes them locally, who sources their materials as local as possible, and who makes them from quality materials that the bags aren't going to rip. So for example, I make them. I crochet them. I have produce bags available right now that I'm making. And if you crochet yourself, the pattern is available on my website for free, by the way, so you can make your own. I'm also in the process of making my own pattern for larger reusable grocery bags out of cotton yarn. The cotton yarn that I use is manufactured in Canada. So yes, it does have some environmental impact in regards of the creation and the shipping, of the yarn to get to me. However, crocheted bags don't have any seams. Not typically, not the way that I make them. There are no seams, so there is nowhere for that to rip apart and to come apart. So it's made in a continuous round, a continuous either circle or whatever the shape is. So the quality of these crocheted items are better than the 99-cent bags that you can buy at Walmart. So be aware of the manufacturing process as much as you can and where your items are coming from. Something else that you can do depending on your location is to start a garden. If you have an area where you can grow your own food, that is amazing. Now, you don't have to have a huge area in order to grow food. There are many things that you can grow indoors if you don't even have a backyard. Now, I have several planters, but there's currently snow on the ground here where I am, and I am not actively growing anything in my garden because everything is frozen. But see what you can grow indoors, see what grows well in your area, and it's a good way to not have to go buy all of your food, and it really connects you to the land and the energy of the land and the spirits of the land in your area when you can grow your own food, and it's more rewarding and it has less of an environmental impact than going to the grocery store and buying all of your produce after it has been shipped all over the world. Something else, reduce, reuse, recycle. As a kid, I was told reduce, reuse, recycle. These are the 3 R's, and they are typically taught to children. They are taught as like the only thing that you need to do to be environmentally friendly, and I disagree. It's a good starting point, and they're good practices to have. Reduce your waste, reuse items that can be reused, recycle the things that no longer serve you or that can no longer be used. But I would use that as a jumping point for if you are wanting to become more eco-friendly and do what you can for the environment. Start with the 3 R's and grow from there. Something else you can do if you have this capability is to walk instead of drive. Now, again, like I said, not everyone can do this, and that's okay. So right now, outside, it's like 20 something degrees where I live, Fahrenheit. If it were to rain, it would snow, so it's cold. And I live about 6 miles from the closest average grocery store from Walmart. I live about 6 miles from Walmart, okay? And it's not flat land. It's hills and valleys and windy roads, and there's no sidewalks because it's a highway. So if I'm going to go to the store, I have to drive because I can't walk those 5 miles uphill, downhill, whatever, no sidewalks. It's not safe, okay? But if I have the option to walk somewhere instead of drive, then I will. Because walking is good for you, for one, if you have the ability to walk. And for 2, it then reduces the emissions that are put into the air from a vehicle that runs on fuel. If you have an electric vehicle, I would still suggest walking instead of driving because when you have to charge your car, you are using excess energy, but totally at your discretion. If you don't want to walk, maybe you have a bike. If you don't have either of those capabilities, then you have another option available to you as public transport. When more people use the same thing for transportation, it cuts down on the emissions from the single vehicles that would normally be on the road. And it makes the air quality better, and it cuts down on those emissions. So if you have that capability, then I would definitely take advantage of it. Now, one of the last things that I just is the most important is do your research. You can't let You can't let your own bias get in the way, because I'll be the first to admit to you, when my dad made the comment that the reusable bags are worse for the environment than plastic, I was irritated. How can that be possible? You're wrong. Okay? But I did my research, and he's not wrong in a sense. But you have to take everything into account. So if, with the plastic bag situation, if you are only using your reusable bag once, then yes, the plastic bag has a lower impact. And depending on where you get your reusable bag, the environmental impact will take forever to balance out. However, that's the example that I'm using to let you know that you have to do your research and you have to be unbiased about it. You have to be willing to change your opinion and your views based on the research and the evidence that is presented to you. You can't go into this completely, with your mind completely made up, because the evidence changes. We have new data that comes out on a regular basis. Things are always changing. So you have to have an open mind when it comes to that. And I think it's really important that you do your research and ask the hard questions. And if possible, go to the people who have firsthand knowledge. That's why I linked the IPCC in the description and the show notes, because it is a report that is written by the scientific leaders in our communities involving climate change. I know not everyone is going to be able to make sense of the report, because I can't make sense of the entire report, but I'm also not a scientist. Climate change is not my specialty. It is their specialty. And we need to listen to the scientists and listen to the evidence and the facts that are presented with an open mind. So, we only have one planet. Okay? One planet. I know people are saying, but we're going to live on Mars. Why are we going to move to another planet when we can't even take care of the one we've got? And a lot of people, what I'm presented with is some people saying one person doing it is not going to change anything. And they're right. If one person, and only one person, was taking these steps to be more eco-friendly and do what they can for the environment, one person out of billions is not going to have an impact. However, it's not just one person. And one person leads to 2 people, leads to 10 people, leads to hundreds, to thousands, to millions. We have to not be afraid to put our opinions out there and our voices and present the opposing side with facts and evidence. One person doing what they can might not change anything, but other people seeing that one person take care of the planet and take care of the environment and do what they can to make the world a better place, that has an impact. So if you're the only person in your community who is taking steps to be eco-friendly, let it be seen. Don't be afraid. Don't fear judgment, because no one else is going to know unless they see it happening. And this happens in my house. I live with my boyfriend, my daughter, and my parents. We share a house, and we're a little community here. I am the only person in my home who advocates for these things. And when I do, I present evidence and fact-based information. Now, since I'm a community, part of this little community here that I call my home, sometimes I lose. Sometimes my opinion or my voice isn't enough to sway the other adults in the household to make a change. But sometimes it does. We no longer use paper plates. We no longer buy plastic water bottles. We no longer use plastic bags. We have reusable bags. And those little things add up because of one voice there are now 3 other adults in the world who are actively participating in eco-friendly and green living practices. That's all it takes. So don't think that you're too small to make an impact. Don't think that you're too small to make a difference. And I will leave you with a quote, the way my favorite eco-friendly zero waste YouTuber ends her videos. I will leave her link in the description and in the show notes. You cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Thanks everybody for being here. Check out all of the links in the description and in the show notes. Check out Shelby's channel because I learned so much from her. And I will talk at you guys next time. Bye.